Hey everyone, and welcome to Boston Autoblog. In 2021, Mitsubishi has been on a roll as of late with the all-new 2022 Outlander, which has drawn quite a lot of attention to the brand and also created some positive vibes around this manufacturer, giving us hope that all their vehicles will one day be as comfortable, have the technology features, and just the overall refinement that we see with that compact crossover. But there's other vehicles in the lineup that deserve our attention as well. So today we're taking a look at the 2021 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. When you think of subcompact crossovers, you don't necessarily expect to receive all the bells and whistles that you'll find in bigger vehicles, such as comfort and luxury features, but also practicality as well. However, Mitsubishi has done an amazing job of making their vehicles attainable while also giving them some good features and, for this particular model, a good amount of interior space where you can definitely fit 4 people comfortably in this crossover. So in this video, we're going to take a quick look at the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, see how it compares to other vehicles in its segment, and also see why, if you're looking at buying a subcompact crossover at around $30,000, and you don't really want to break the bank to get some creature comforts and also, of course, 4-wheel drive, then maybe buying an Eclipse Cross might be a great decision. Now before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Central Mitsubishi in Raynham, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this review. The link will be in the description below so you can check out their extensive Mitsubishi inventory. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. It came as no surprise last decade when Mitsubishi announced that they were fully committing to a crossover-dominant lineup, moving on from affordable sports cars and sedans to focus entirely on a more lucrative market. Where Mitsubishi has always excelled is by being affordable while also offering amazing warranties. But they needed to do more than just being seen as the attainable option in the crossover segments. They had to bring more to the table to compete with other legacy manufacturers. The Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross arrived at a time when the brand needed to create some buzz, and in a price range where cool designs and great overall value is lacking, this was the perfect opportunity to re-emerge as a serious player in an already crowded subcompact and compact crossover markets. Starting off with pricing, the Eclipse Cross SE in this review comes in at $29,920, which does include 4-wheel drive. Carrying on the Eclipse legacy, but this time as a crossover, got many people talking when it first arrived at dealers almost 4 years ago. To help insinuate that this vehicle is fun, like the 2-door coupe and convertible made from 1990 to 2012, is the sloping roofline and sportback-like rear end that's become a trend in the automotive industry. However, there's always been a bit of confusion as to what segment the Eclipse Cross actually competes in. When looking at the Mitsubishi lineup, it slots between the Outlander Sport and Outlander. But since it's a bit smaller than a RAV4 or Honda CR-V, and priced competitively when cross-shopped with the Subaru Crosstrek and Mazda CX-30, it could be seen as a more practical subcompact crossover, or a very attainable slimmed-down compact crossover for buyers on a budget. Where the Eclipse Cross does impress is with its 8.5 inches of ground clearance, that when paired with 4-wheel drive, makes this vehicle more versatile than some competitors. Many of the changes to the 2022 model can be found on the outside, as Mitsubishi is in the process of revitalizing their lineup and beginning a new era of sleeker design crossovers. Grabbing your attention first is the facelift for the LED DRLs and LED headlight housings, which is very similar to what we saw on the all-new Outlander. Becoming a cosmetic feature for newer Mitsubishis is the chrome accents that blend into the front grille and wrap around the headlights, to go along with the usage of brushed aluminum found on the lower portion of the front bumper for a modern appearance. Even better is that for 2022, it's been given a far more aggressive road presence that was lacking in prior model years. And as some have pointed out, the closer relationship with Nissan is having a positive influence on the design of these vehicles being produced by Mitsubishi. Moving over to the side profile, the SC will be sitting on 18-inch two-toned alloy wheels, which contrasts very nicely with the red diamond paint color. Really great to see on a crossover priced around $30,000 is the body color power folding side mirrors with turn signal indicators, to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Then coming around to the back, the most noticeable difference from last year is the new look for the rear hatch, as the Eclipse Cross loses the awkward angles and goes for a more streamlined design that's already received praise by consumers and journalists alike. With the more traditional sport-back rear fascia, this crossover now stands out amongst the crowd, and with new LED taillights, the Eclipse Cross has matured quite a bit compared to last year. Adding a classy vibe to this vehicle is the chrome badging, which is now spelt out across the hatch, which is becoming an aesthetic feature we're finding on new Mitsubishis in 2021. Overall, the refreshed road presence gives the Eclipse Cross a youthful and athletic appeal, possibly drawing in a younger consumer demographic to this model and brand. Under the hood, the Eclipse Cross is powered by a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that puts out 152 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with the CVT. On paper, while performance numbers aren't all that impressive, it does fall right in line with some of the smaller subcompact crossovers in its price range. And despite some complaining about the lack of a true automatic, many Japanese rivals will also have CVTs as well. For the drivetrain, front-wheel drive will come standard, with four-wheel drive being a $1,600 option, which will likely be more suitable for buyers in regions that experience snow throughout the year. For fuel economy, you can expect to see right around 26 miles per gallon in the city and 29 miles per gallon on the highway. Stepping inside, you get by heated synthetic suede seats for both the driver and passenger. When it comes to adjustability, the driver's side will be powered, whereas passengers will have to manually find the ideal seating position. In terms of comfort, they do have a nice and soft feeling to them, despite bolstering not being overly aggressive. In front of you, between the analog gauges, you'll have a small digital display that will show basic information pertaining to your Eclipse Cross, but hopefully sometime in the near future, we'll receive a full digital gauge cluster like we find in the new Outlander. Then moving over to the infotainment system, you'll have an 8-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility to go along with onboard navigation and Sirius XM satellite radio. While there have been some major changes for the 2022 model year, the interior remains generally the same, including the tech features. While this head unit is very easy to navigate through, it's not as in-depth as some competitors. However, buyers who prefer more of a traditional dashboard layout are going to enjoy the physical buttons found just below the user interface and the knobs for the volume and tuning. And as always, you will have a rear backup camera, but if you offer the SCL, you'll have more angles to choose from to help you park this crossover. Below, you'll find the buttons for your dual zone climate control and front and rear defrosters. And as we work our way down towards the center console, you'll have a cubby for your smartphone, with 2 USB inputs and a 12-volt outlet. Next to the gear shifter, you have the switches for the 2-level heated seats, along with the drive mode selector to help you take on different types of terrain. For the center storage compartment, you'll find enough room for smaller items. And rounding out the front seating area, if you upgraded to the SCL, you'll have a dual-pane sunroof to let in a lot of natural light for all occupants inside. Now for passengers in the back, we're going to start off on the passenger side, and the seat is adjusted further back. It's also somewhat on a recline, and I have a few inches of legroom to work with here, which is a bit surprising just because subcompact crossovers can get very cramped pretty quickly, especially if you have taller passengers up front. Now I do think that if you're around maybe 5'8", 5'9", you can sit back here pretty comfortably. However, if you're a little taller than that, it might get a bit claustrophobic because of the lack of headroom. Now, because the Eclipse Cross has more of a hatchback-like roofline, you're going to sacrifice a bit when it comes to that headroom. So at my head around 5'5", I'm fine, but I think if you're around maybe 5'10" and above, you will be hitting your head on this headliner for sure. Now, moving over to the center seat, the center hump is somewhat aggressive, but it doesn't really matter because even though it does affect legroom, shoulder room is going to be your biggest issue for any vehicle in this segment, because most likely you will only have 2 people back here, and trying to fit a third person is just not going to be practical at all. I think if you had 3 kids back here, it might work, but average size adults, there's just no way. I think it's going to get very cramped pretty quickly. And then for the driver's side, the seat is adjusted to someone of my head around 5'5", and I have a good amount of legroom back here. So I think for shorter drivers and shorter passengers, they're going to be just fine. There's plenty of legroom and enough space. And that is a bit surprising just because for subcompact crossovers, it can get a bit tight. But the Eclipse Cross is pretty practical overall. Also back here, you will have a 12-volt outlet, but you won't receive 2 rear air vents, which is not surprising at all because we just don't see that in this segment or price range, and you don't really expect to have those creature comforts. But rounding out the rear seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now coming around to the back, you're not going to receive a power liftgate, which does surprise a few people because since the Mazda CX-30 came out about a year and a half ago, everyone demands a power liftgate, even in the subcompact crossover segment, and we just don't see that for vehicles under $30,000. Even though a lot of people now demand it for vehicles of any size, we're just not going to see that for the 2021 model year. But anyway, behind the second row seats, you're going to find right around 22.5 cubic feet of rear cargo space, which is more than most hatchbacks on the market today. I think you could fit right around 2 to 3 bags of luggage back here if you were to go on a road trip with the family, and when I had my camera gear back here, I still had enough room for groceries and smaller items. Then with the second row seats folded, that space right around doubles in size to 48 cubic feet. So overall, if you're looking for an affordable crossover that's going to have enough room for whatever you're carrying with you, then I think the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross is going to fit the bill. Also back here, you will have a rear cargo cover, which will keep all your valuable items out of sight. So if you are like me and you have camera gear with you or anything of value, you can leave them back here and have that peace of mind knowing that no one will be able to peek in and steal what you have. And then once you're done, just grab the handle and close the hatch. So at the end of the day, the 2021 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross is a decent-sized vehicle in its segment, providing better practicality than some hatchbacks and some subcompact crossovers in this segment. Also, I like the features that really stand out to me. So you have a touchscreen with onboard navigation to go along with Sirius XM satellite radio. That is huge. Also, dual zone climate control. We don't normally see that for vehicles of this size. Also, 4-wheel drive. Some subcompact crossovers are only front-wheel drive only. And then also you have heated seats as well. I like the interior layout. It's very cleanly designed. And I also think that when it comes to that second row seating area, it's a bit more spacious than some vehicles in this segment. However, if you are looking at buying a Mitsubishi at around $30,000, I would recommend taking a look at the new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander, because I think at around $30,000 you're going to receive a lot more than with the Eclipse Cross. So you'll have better practicality. You also have a digital gauge cluster and a bigger infotainment system with 3-level heated seats, and also the interior is a little bit more comfortable. Of course, you will have to buy an SE Launch Edition to have the digital gauge cluster at around $30,000, and you'll have to pay a little extra for 4-wheel drive, but I do think it's worth it at the end of the day. But either way, whether you go with the Eclipse Cross or the new Outlander, I don't think you can go wrong at all. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.